Hi everybody, thanks for joining me here in the den at Friendship Shaving. I hope you're doing well this week. I'm going to be discussing the new Pearl Flexi Adjustable razor this week. There are some faults with this razor that have come to light over the last week, and I'll be discussing those with you, as well as talking about the proposed solution from Pearl Shaving. They are going to replace all the razors that have faults that have gone out in the first wave. So we'll talk more about that later. And despite the faults, I'm actually going to have a shave with the razor today. Why not? It's here in the den. But let me show you some of the issues first. So one of the major issues that has come out is that in the mid settings, the guard plate becomes uneven, and you can certainly see it there. As we're up to setting 4, it becomes uneven, and only on one side on my razor. Now as I move the adjuster back down to level 1, everything settles in its place, and similarly as I go up to level 6, everything settles against the top cap. But it is those middle levels where you get that slight, well, or not so slight variation in angle. It's a real shame, but there we are. They are going to fix it. Even on level 2, it is a lot more slight, and it's more difficult to see on camera than it is to the naked eye, but there is still a slight slant in that. You can adjust it by kind of doing that, you know, with the spring on the other side. But even when I look at that, that is better on those mid levels, but it's not perfect. Now, this is quite an aggressive level, so for me, I've only been using it on setting 2, 1.5 and 1. So that variation in the plate, in the guard plate, is not so pronounced. But it is still there, very slightly on setting 1.5, very slightly on setting 2, but it's definitely there. So that is a shame. I know some of you have had issues with the adjustment dial not quite getting to number 1. I haven't had any problems with that, but it has become, over the last week or so, as I've been playing with this razor, a little easier to just get that last little bit of movement. Some of you are finding that it sort of sits there. On mine, and I don't think they'll show up in the light, but there are some very minor finishing issues on the corners of the guard plate here. Some of them are slightly dimpled, as if they coated the razor with a lacquer or something and it hasn't gone on. I don't know if they have coated the razor with a lacquer. That's just how I'm trying to explain the dimpled effect. But on this one particularly, I don't think it will show. No, it's very, very minor, but there are some grind marks just on the very edge of that, as if it's been left from the polishing wheel. So a few little issues there. We'll talk more about a solution as we go along and talk about some of the other gentlemen that have picked up things with the razor. I wanted to ask this week, have you had your willies out? Well, I'm going to use a Willys razor blade today in the Flexi. There we are. We'll tighten that up. We'll make sure it's on setting 1 where everything is as level as it possibly can be on mine. I'm going to be using a badger brush today, a little friendship shaving brush, the Macy from 2019. And I'm going to be using a Cold River Soapworks, their Select base, and this is a lovely citrus scent to this. So quite a few gentlemen now have made me aware of the faults with the Flexi. Chris Madden was the first gentleman to get in touch with me, and Chris from Another Cut Above, and Kevy came up next, and there are a few gentlemen that have got in touch with me that don't have YouTube channels. Kevy has done a great video about the Flexi. And one of his subscribers, Matt, sent him a video clip where Matt takes the razor apart and demonstrates why there seems to be this fault in the razor. And that is well worth watching. It's very interesting, and I will include the link in the description to this video so you can have a look at that. It's quite a while since I've used a badger brush, you know. Now this is a silver tip. I've had it soaking. I still find it to be a little bit scritchy sometimes, and yet my new old stock Gillette travel brush from, you know, way back in the day, which has a different knot in it, obviously, is the smoothest, nicest badger brush I've ever used. There seems to be such a difference between that old brush and some of the modern brushes I've used. Now I noticed myself on this razor, let me move it back up to the middle setting, because on setting 1 there is no movement in that guard plate, as it should be. But if I move it up to setting 4, you can see there is some up and down movement, but there is also quite a bit of lateral movement. And I surmise that that seems to be the issue with it sticking, perhaps. Now I'm going to start on level 2. I'm going to get it as level as I can. You see, there's no movement on this side, but there's a little bit of movement on that side, and that makes it uneven. So I'm going to push up there. We'll start on setting 2. Now, I was very pleased to get a reply from Dhara Bhatt, who is the business manager at Pearl Shaving. I wrote to Dhara detailing the issues that I've had with my razor. And I shall read out the reply. It came back very quickly. It says, "Hi Mark, we have received several problems in some pieces and we are ready to sort them all out in the second wave. So we are wanting to send you an improved piece in the second wave so you can make a video on that improved one. What are your thoughts? Also, we are offering a replacement to all who have got problems in their pieces. So we would be grateful if you'd inform your viewers who ask about rectifying the issue. Thanks and regards, Dhara Bhatt, Business Manager, Pearl Shaving." So a very firm response there. Good customer service that they are indeed going to replace all the faulty razors. And I shall include that letter in the description to this video so you can read it. I'm pleased to say that when I first highlighted the Flexi on the channel, the first wave of production had sold out and they were waiting to produce a second wave of razors. That of course will now be delayed. But what that meant was that nobody was buying faulty razors. That first batch, as I said, had already gone out. So I actually think they're to be applauded for acting so quickly on their mistake. I have to say, despite the faults on this razor, I'm having quite a reasonable shave with it. I'll certainly look forward to getting one without faults and seeing how that shaves. Now, mine seems to be a little more aggressive on one side than the other. I suppose that would be exacerbated perhaps as you got up to the mid-range and the higher settings, but on these low settings that's okay at the moment, and I'm tending just to use it on the side that is most comfortable. My initial thoughts on this razor are that it reminds me of the Rex Ambassador. Obviously it is a very similar design. It's 30 grams heavier. I mean, that's nearly a third heavier again. I'm not finding it quite as aggressive as the Rex Ambassador, even with its faults. And I would think once the faults are all sorted out, that this would be a very good razor. Especially if you like a heavier razor, of course. And I'm very pleased that Pearl are offering to send me another razor so that I can talk about that and report on that and report to you whether the faults are entirely fixed or not, as the case may be, which you'll have to wait and see, but I would imagine that they'll be fixed pretty quick smart. Even on setting 1.5 across my top lip there, where the skin is looser, there is still quite a little bit of blade feel there. Now I'm going to take that down to setting 1, the very lowest of the low, for the last pass. I've almost run out of soap on this brush. It's been a little while since I've used this Select soap. I do like this one. A lovely, fresh but sweet lemon smell. It's beautiful. Now one thing's assured, when the second wave of razors comes out and all the problems are fixed, you will get a close shave with this razor. And there we are, that is a shave with the wonky Pearl Flexi. And yeah, what a shame, but there we are. So long as they fix it as they have promised to do, that'll be all good. Now it's not quite so pronounced, that that gap this time around. Setting 4 again, but it is obviously still there. Yes, what a shame. Anyway, there we go. That's the current state of play. In all seriousness, I quite like those Willys razor blades. Well, I nearly said that with a straight face. I so nearly did. But I do like them. I've got my coffee in here. Is that my little plant? A little coffee plant. I like that, but I'm just wondering how big it will grow. It may end up being about 10 foot high. Maybe in about 3 years it will be like Jumanji in here. So there, today I'm going to be using Future Fiction from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. They go perfectly with that Select soap from Cold River Soap Works. Nice bit of menthol in here, so I've got a little bit of skin. I should hope I've got a bit of skin. A little bit of sting. Now, I won't use the Flexi again until I get the new version, the second wave. I hope you appreciate me just keeping you informed. Kevy has been really on form with his videos, keeping everyone informed. I really recommend having a look at the link in the description to this video. Very illuminating video, and thumbs up to Matt for taking one apart. Now, that's my shave. Please subscribe if you haven't, and you take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.